Okay, you are welcome again as we continue our smart money concepts. Then in this pullback manipulation, we are going to be looking at order block. In the previous one, we look at inducement, the pullback manipulation that happens with inducement. But right now, we'll be looking at inducement, pullback manipulation that happens with order block. All right. So before we go into that, let me make an illustration here with these candlesticks. Let's assume this candlestick 1, 2, 3. They are all pipes. Okay, when they are pipe and water is going through them, this long line here is the water. The long line there is the water going through them. So when water move from candlestick 1 from the top to the down as a selling candle, so water is moving through the pipe. But instead of fixing the pipe 2 to be at the same level where the water can move into pipe 2 and then the water can also channel from pipe 2 to pipe 3, but you can now see what happens here. The pipe was not in the same line with candlestick 1, which is the pipe 1. Pipe 1 and pipe 2, they are not in the same alignment. So how can you channel water from pipe 1 now to pipe 2 when everything is moving in a straight line? So what this means is that on the chart, there's what we call grid. Okay, grid line. Let me activate that. So you can see on the chart there's what we call grid. All these lines, horizontal and vertical lines, they are grid line. So the water can only move from one grid line to another grid line. It does not move, how will I put it? It cannot move in a curved way. It has to be either either horizontal or vertical. That is how I can move from this pipe to another pipe to another pipe. So how the water can move through those pipes is through this either vertical line or horizontal line. So price cannot just move and curve. Okay, it can't curve into another point. It has to be either vertical or horizontal. So let me using our analogy of price moving vertical and horizontal, everything has to be in alignment. Okay, another analogy where you can use to easily understand correct pullbacks. Okay, so let's go to in this analogy right now. Like we already know, price is using candlestick 1. The low point and the high point of candlestick 1, one of those have to be taken before candlestick 3 will now break the low point. That is when price is moving downward. Okay, so price is moving downward. In this scenario, we are looking at downward movement of price. So you can see candlestick 1, the low point and the high point in this situation is protected. So candlestick 2, odd, the candlestick 2, either wick or body, should have taken candlestick 1 low before price continue to make all this other candlestick, this green candlestick, to have a valid pullback. But instead of that, price just use candlestick 2, form candlesticks 2, another one, this another candlestick, and then making all this other pullback, and the candlestick 3 then took out the low point of candlestick 1. But it doesn't work that way. It has to be that candlestick 2 either take the low point of candlestick 1 by wick or with body, then this pullback will be correct. The other block candlestick, either with body or with wick, should have taken the high point of candlestick 1. This would have been a valid pullback. But in this situation now, when we talk about engulfing candle, this candlestick 1, the high point and the low point, they just engulfed everything in between here. You can see the high point is covered, the low point is also covered, until candlestick 3 now gave a valid pullback. Take out the low point, but that is not what we want. We want the high point or low point of candlestick 1 to be taken before price will then take out this, using candlestick 3 to take out the low point of candlestick 1 again okay, with candlestick 3. But in the first scenario, candlestick 2 should have taken out candlestick 1 low point, or if candlestick 2 did not do it, the last pullback candlestick should have used the wick to take out candlestick 1 pullback. This would have made this candlestick order block to be valid. But you can see there's a break in transmission in this place because everything has to be on this horizontal line, as we have used that grid to talk about water flowing from inside the pipe to another pipe, just like that. But in this situation now, there's a disconnection. So with this disconnection, this cannot be our valid pullback. We should not be using it in as much we are considering smart money concept. Okay, so let's use another analogy. When can we say a pullback is valid? Now you can see in this scenario, now we are looking at this candlestick 1. The low point was not taken out by candlestick 2. No. So the low point of candlestick 1 was not taken out by candlestick 2 low point. But despite that, let's check if it is valid. Then the high point was taken out by this last candlestick pullback. Then before price now came down using candlestick 3 to take out the low point of candlestick 1. This then make our pullback to be our order block to be very valid. Then we talk about order block previously. A valid order block is one that has an unmitigated fair value gap, meaning that there must be a gap between this candlestick that is serving as the order block, which is the last candlestick pullback before price now take out this low point. Then after that, we want price to leave a fair value gap in between. You can see there's a fair value gap there, meaning that price now has another reason to come up, tap on this order block and continue to do what? Continue to sell. Okay, so when can we say this order block is valid? This one is valid. Then when can we say another block is not valid despite a valid pullback? So you can see in the first scenario I've gave, in the first scenario, price gave us a valid pullback. Now in this scenario also, price gave us a valid pullback. You can see it, candlestick 1. Then the candlestick 2 low point did not take out candlestick 1 low point, but candlestick 2 took out candlestick 1 high point. You can see it now. So price is just moving upward, having this valid pullback with this last candlestick, and then price came down using candlestick 3 as our what? As our pullback in this scenario. So we now have candlestick 3 making this pullback a valid pullback, but we want to detect which is our order block. Okay, so if you look at the last candlestick there before this pullback, the last candlestick, what happened there is a valid order block, but we cannot use it because it is already mitigated. So by the time you draw this boss line, you can see that this candlestick is used its wick already to mitigate it. So when this happened, where the valid order block we want to use is already mitigated, what do? We have to transfer this order block to the next order block close to it. We'll transfer and transfer until we find a valid order block that is not yet mitigated. So we can see that the next order block, this white one, by the time we draw this line, we can see that this one is not mitigated yet. So in this candlestick 3 wick did not mitigate this order block. So we now use this next candlestick as our order block, as our valid order block. Why is that? Because there's a fair value gap in between, meaning that this has the potential to drop price back to it, to continue to mitigate it and continue to move downward or upward depending on what price is doing at that moment. I hope it is very clear. You have to watch it over and over again. Watch our order block video to understand more about order block. In this situation, we only use mitigated order block after validating a valid pullback. Then this order block is mitigated. We now transferred this order block to the next order block, which gave us an unmitigated order block, meaning that there's a fair value gap in between this order block here and this order block theory. This candlestick theory. So by the time you look at it, there's a fair value gap there. Then we'll now use that as our what? As our valid order block. I hope this is very helpful. Study more about it. Watch it over and over again. Practice it on chart. That is how you get to understand it better. Alright? Have a great time.